Hi friends, Denise from Salvaged Inspirations, and thanks for joining me today. Today I have a really fun take two for you. This entryway table was painted this time last year and did not sell for whatever reason, so I've decided to repaint it in the exact opposite color, and I can't wait to hear which one you prefer. I'm also giving some tips on what to do if your furniture does not sell the first time around. So just let me get set up and I'll be right back. Let's start. Here's the fun part. Today I have a take two on this gorgeous entry table. I started by sanding the existing paint finish, and my goal wasn't to take the entire finish off right down to the bare wood, because that's not necessary when repainting your furniture. But I did use a medium sanding pad to scuff it up enough to create some tooth for the new paint to stick to. For the flat surface, for the top, I used my orbital sander with a 220 grit sandpaper. So you can do this by hand, or you can definitely use a palm sander or an orbital sander, whatever you feel most comfortable using. Here's what it looked like sanded down. And as you can see, it's not sanded right down to the bare wood. Most of the rustic red paint is still on it, but it's all scuffed up and all smoothed out, so it's ready for the new color to be adhered. And so this is what it looked like all sanded. And I also used a tack cloth to remove all the dust before moving on to the next step. So as I mentioned, since the red didn't sell, I decided to go the exact opposite on the color wheel, which is green. And I had this muted Hampton Olive Green in my inventory because I just love this color. It just looks so elegant and sophisticated. It can be used more like a neutral because it has, I would say, some brown grayish undertones. And in the right setting, it can certainly have a boho vibe for sure. Before I did any spray painting, I thinned my paint with about a 10% ratio of water to paint, and then I strained it. Usually in a new jar of paint, I don't bother straining, but as you can see here, when I took the lid off, there was a skin on top of this paint, and I didn't want to take any chances that any of that skin had actually fallen into the paint. So you know what, for the few seconds it takes to strain it, it's just better safe than sorry. Then you end up with a nice smooth finish and there's no debris in there whatsoever. I would suggest that if you're using an open jar of paint or open can of paint, always strain it before you decide to shoot it through the gun. This way it ensures that it's just smooth, there's no debris in there, and you'll end up with a perfect, flawless finish. I also wanted to mention, here's a quick tip for you, that I use these filters now, but when I first started painting furniture, there's a DIY version as well. And when I first started, I used nylons, which worked great. They're a little messier, but they definitely get the job done just as well. So if you don't have any of these filters on hand, you can go ahead and use a pair of nylons. You just cut them up and strain the paint through them that way. So here I'm painting the first coat of Hampton Olive Green onto this entry table. You'll notice that I don't have a spray booth or a paint tent of any kind, and that's because I have a designated paint room. Also, this Husky paint gun, which I've owned since 2013. I can't believe it's been that many years already, but it still works fabulous, and it's set up so that I don't have a lot of overspray. So this really helps keep the paint spraying where it should be and not where it shouldn't. So if you have your spray gun, I would suggest really playing around with your settings and get it to shoot the paint to what feels comfortable for you. While I was waiting for the first coat of paint to dry, my sister and I took a really nice drive out on number 1 side road to see the fall foliage, and it is just beautiful this time of year. Here in the Greater Toronto area, I'm actually in Burlington. We have the escarpment right behind us, and the fall colors, the trees just look gorgeous this time of year. We actually stopped and cut a few branches down for the staging and styling of this piece, which you'll see at the end of the video. And I also wanted to touch base on what I do if my furniture doesn't sell. When I first started painting my furniture and the business about 10 years ago, actually a little more now, if one of my pieces didn't sell, I'll admit I took it personally, because let's face it, if you're an artist of any kind, you put your heart and soul, time and money, sweat and tears into creating one-of-a-kind piece, and we do our best to make something beautiful, and we hope others will see and appreciate the beauty in it as well. When this doesn't happen, it's disappointing. But after 10 plus years of selling furniture online, I've learned it's not personal. There are several factors that come into play on whether a piece sells or not. It could be price point, what's happening in the world, the pandemic, for example, the weather or seasons come into play, supply and demand, location preferences, and this is just to name a few. These are a few factors that can factor in how fast a piece of furniture will sell, or in it not selling at all. So if one of my pieces don't sell, I just figure it's time to try something a little different and repaint it. And I actually enjoy doing it. There's no shame in redoing a piece of furniture. I believe the real shame would be to give up on the piece. And I have to admit, it's fun seeing how many different versions a piece of furniture can have. If you follow me over on salvagedinspirations.com for the last few years, you may know it's a Christmas tradition to restyle and make over this washstand. It's had 4 totally different looking makeovers to date, and it's shocking how it transforms with another color and style. I mean, it doesn't even look like the same piece. So here are a few tips if your pieces don't sell. And here's a few ideas maybe to get it out the door. 1, wait for another season and relist it. 2, change the wording in your ad. 3, check your competition and do some research in your area. 4, offer a delivery option for a fee. 5, retake your images and change your staging styling. 6, reprice your piece. It needs to be priced a little higher or lower, so check your area. And 7, repaint and create an entire new look, which of course is exactly what we're doing with this one here. So when I got back from my fall drive, I ended up painting 2 more coats of Hampton Olive onto this entry table. So it was 3 coats in total. And I have to say, it turned out beautiful. I really love this color on this entry table. As for the top coat, none is needed because the Silk All-in-One mineral paint has a primer and a top coat already included in the formula. And some of the comments on the blog were asking, well, are you sure you didn't top coat it because it looks like there's a sheen to it? The silk paint, it's a matte finish. However, when the light hits it just right, it does have a satin sheen. It's very, very lovely. And I've painted numerous pieces in this silk paint, and they're very easy to clean and keep looking fresh and new once the paint has cured. They're very, very easy to keep clean. So that's always a bonus on my end as well. So here's the before, and here's the after. And I cannot wait to hear what you think. I'm also curious if you prefer the first version, which is the rustic red, or the second version, which is the Hampton Olive. I would love to know which one you prefer in the comments down below. So thanks so much for joining me today, and I really hope you enjoyed today's makeover. Please leave a comment down below in which makeover you preferred. Did you prefer the red or did you prefer the green? Also, feel free to join me on all my socials and over at salvagedinspirations.com, where I have over 500 furniture painting tutorials teaching you how to make your furniture beautiful. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell before you leave today. And thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a fabulous week, and I'll see you again soon. Bye, guys.